Imagine your life with the entertainment stripped away. No phone, no screens, no music on demand, no books, no games on a shelf. Just long, silent, empty hours, especially in winter, when night fell early and there was nothing to do but sit in the dark. For almost all of human history, this was normal. So how on earth did ancient humans survive the boredom without completely losing their minds? The answer is wonderful. They didn't just endure it. They invented, from scratch, almost everything we still use to have fun today. The very first cure for boredom was also the most powerful: the story. Gather around a fire at night, and the world shrinks to the circle of light and the sound of a voice. Anthropologists who studied modern hunter-gatherers found that daytime talk was practical and dull, but after dark, by the fire, it transformed into myth, legend, and tall tales. Storytelling was the original television, and the best storyteller in the band was its brightest star. Then humans discovered they could make sound on purpose, and music was born. And this is not a recent trick. In a cave in Germany, archaeologists found a flute carved from the wing bone of a vulture, delicately drilled with finger holes, and it is around 40,000 years old. 40,000 years ago, someone sat in an Ice Age cave and played a tune. Music is one of the oldest technologies we have, and we've been using it to lift the boredom ever since. Where there is music, there is dancing. Long before there were words for it, humans moved their bodies to a rhythm, stamping, clapping, and spinning around the fire. Ancient rock art from around the world is full of little painted figures caught mid-dance, arms flung wide. Dance was celebration. It was ritual, it was courtship, and it was a fantastic way to burn a long evening and feel alive. Some people picked up a different tool to fight the boredom: paint. Deep inside caves like Lascaux and Chauvet, ancient artists covered the walls with breathtaking paintings of charging animals and hunting scenes, some over 30,000 years old. Working by flickering torchlight, mixing their own pigments, they created galleries in the dark. Whether it was sacred ritual or simply the deep human itch to make something beautiful, art was one of our earliest and greatest pastimes. And what about the kids? Children have always needed to be entertained, and ancient parents delivered. Archaeologists have dug up toys from thousands of years ago that are startlingly familiar. Little dolls, tiny animal figures, rattles, spinning tops, and yo-yos. A child playing with a carved wooden doll 5,000 years ago was doing exactly what a child does today. Some things about being human never change. But the real ancient obsession was games, and it started with bones. Specifically, the small ankle bones of sheep and goats called knucklebones. Because they land on one of 4 distinct sides, they made a perfect natural dice. People all over the ancient world used them for games of skill and luck, tossing and catching them, betting on the throws. They were the pocket-sized entertainment of the ancient world, the fidget toy, dice, and game piece all in one. From there, humans invented the board game, and they got good at it fast. In ancient Egypt, everyone from commoners to pharaohs was obsessed with a game called Senet, a race across 30 squares. In the city of Ur, 5,000 years ago, people played a beautiful board game whose exact rules were carved onto an ancient tablet and only cracked by a modern museum curator. These games were so loved that people were buried with them to keep playing in the afterlife. These games kept evolving into the deep strategy games we still play today. In ancient China, players bent over the board of Go, a game of astonishing complexity. In India, a war game called Chaturanga slowly spread and transformed over centuries into the game we now call chess. For thousands of years, 2 people, a board, and a set of rules have been one of the very best ways ever invented to make time disappear. And of course, wherever there were games, there was gambling. Humans have been betting on outcomes for as long as we've had anything worth wagering. They bet on dice, on knucklebones, on races, on fights, anything with an uncertain outcome and the delicious thrill of risk. Ancient writings are full of complaints about people losing everything to gambling. The rush of a bet, it turns out, is a very, very old addiction. For those who preferred to move, there were sports. Wrestling is one of the oldest, painted on walls and carved into stone thousands of years ago. There were foot races, throwing contests, and boxing. And the Mesoamerican peoples played a famous high-stakes ball game on huge stone courts, sending a heavy rubber ball flying without using their hands, a game so important it was tied to religion itself. Physical contests let people compete, show off, and cheer exactly as we still do. Sometimes killing boredom was as simple as getting everyone together for a party. The feast is an ancient institution, a break from the daily grind to eat, drink, and be merry. And here's a wild theory. Some archaeologists think the desire to brew beer for these gatherings may have been one of the reasons humans started farming grain in the first place. In other words, we may have partly built civilization itself just so we could throw a better party. On a grander scale, there were festivals. Ancient calendars were dotted with holy days and seasonal celebrations that broke up the year and gave everyone something to look forward to. These were the blockbuster events of the ancient world, days of processions, music, feasting, games, and spectacle, when the whole community stopped work and came together. A good festival could be the highlight of an entire year. As settlements grew, so did professional entertainment. Traveling performers, acrobats, jugglers, musicians, and animal trainers went from town to town putting on a show for whoever would pay. In ancient Greece, this instinct to watch a story acted out grew into something monumental. The theater, with its great open-air stages where thousands gathered to laugh and weep at plays we still perform today. And some ancient entertainment was pure, jaw-dropping spectacle. The Romans turned it into an industry. In enormous arenas like the Colosseum, tens of thousands of roaring spectators watched chariot races thunder around the track and gladiators do battle on the sand. It was thrilling, it was often brutal, and it was wildly popular. The ancient world's answer to the biggest stadium event you can imagine. Not all Roman fun was so violent. The Roman bathhouse was the ancient world's social media, a place people went every single day not just to get clean but to hang out. You could exercise, get a massage, snack, do business, and above all gossip and socialize for hours. It was the community pool, the gym, the cafe, and the local pub all rolled into one steamy, chatty building. For quieter minds, there were riddles and puzzles. Ancient people loved a good brain teaser, and riddles show up in the oldest literature we have, traded as tests of wit and cleverness. A clever riddle could stump a friend, win an argument, or, in the myths, even save your life. The joy of a puzzle, of that satisfying click when the answer lands, is as old as language itself. But let's be honest about the most universal pastime of all: gossip. Humans are relentlessly social creatures, and simply talking about each other, who did what, who likes whom, who's in trouble, has always been our favorite free entertainment. Some scientists even argue that gossip was so important for bonding groups together that it helped drive the evolution of language itself. Your group chat is running software that is hundreds of thousands of years old. And some ancient fun was quiet and simple. People have always taken pleasure in the natural world, watching the stars wheel across a sky so dark and bright we can barely imagine it, tracking the animals, sitting by a river. And somewhere along the way, humans made a friend. They welcomed the wolf to the campfire, and over generations it became the dog. A loyal companion to play with and pass the time was one of the oldest comforts of all. Then there were the hobbies, the ancient equivalent of a rainy day project. People whittled wood, wove baskets, strung beads into jewelry, and carved little figures, not always because they had to, but because it felt good to make something with your hands. Archaeologists find beautiful decorated objects that went far beyond what was strictly necessary. That satisfying focus of a good craft project is a very old way to make the hours melt away. Step back and look at the whole list and something remarkable appears. Stories, music, dance, art, games, sports, parties, gossip. Almost every single form of entertainment we enjoy today was already invented in its core form thousands and thousands of years ago. We didn't invent fun in the modern age. We just gave it a screen and a battery. The bored human staring into a fire and the bored human scrolling a phone are, deep down, doing the exact same thing. And here's the beautiful twist. Boredom wasn't just a problem for ancient humans to solve. It may have been one of the greatest engines of human creativity there ever was. That restless, itchy feeling of having nothing to do is exactly what pushes a mind to invent a game, carve a flute, paint a wall, or dream up a story. Boredom, it turns out, is not the enemy of a good idea. Very often, it's the beginning of one. So the next time you feel that familiar wave of boredom and reach for your phone, try to remember what it really is. It's the same ancient signal your ancestors felt in the dark, 40,000 years ago, the one that made them pick up a bone and drill it into a flute, or gather the group around a fire to tell a story that would outlive them. Boredom is not empty. It's a blank page, and humans have never been able to leave a blank page alone. From bone flutes to board games, from cave paintings to the roar of the Colosseum, ancient humans didn't just survive the boredom, they invented civilization trying to beat it. If that made you look at your own restless afternoons a little differently, and you want more of history's strangest true stories told straight, subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.